I've had Joseph Weizenbaum looking over my shoulder for the last 33 years. Some of you know him. If you don't, you should. He's not alive anymore, but he wrote about 30 years ago, wherever computer centers have become established, bright young men, he was a little sexist, of disheveled appearance, often with sunken glowing eyes, can be seen sitting at the computer consoles, their arms tensed and waiting to fire, their fingers already poised to strike at the buttons and keys on which their attention sits. They are computer bums. They are computer programmers. They are an international phenomenon. I just got email from Mr. Weizenbaum yesterday, and I will read it to you a little bit later. Okay, I've shared 7 tips with you so far. We only have 1 more to go. Tip number 8 is for skills. Skills, skills, skills. I've been teaching for a long, long time. Gary, Stager, and Skills both have 6 letters in their last name, and they both begin with an S. And I'm sorry, Gary, but I believe in skills. But I also believe in projects. Skills and projects are not mutually exclusive. I work with kids at Storefront, and skills are their ticket to get into high schools and to get into college and to get a job. And I've got to push their skills. But it's not like I don't do projects. We just did a great project at Storefront last week where all of our 7th graders and the 7th graders at Stoneleigh Burnham School in Massachusetts were connected via Skype. They did these debates with research over the course of a month. They had 4 topics: gay and lesbian marriage, marijuana, gay and lesbians in the military, and offshore oil drilling. And they were assigned to pro and con sides, and they had to be teammates and partners with kids at Stoneleigh Burnham in Massachusetts. And it was a phenomenal project. Our administrators loved it, our computer teachers at the other school, everyone thought it was great. But it wasn't skills. It was research and writing, but it wasn't skills. My goal as teacher, as computer teacher at Storefront, is to get these kids to have real live spreadsheet skills, programming skills, graphic skills, building computers from scratch skills, because that's going to be their ticket to get into high schools and colleges. And I'm starting a school, as was mentioned, and thank you for that nice introduction. I'm starting a school with a friend in the Bronx in 2012. We're calling it the Tech International School, and we're going to try to take the kids from grade 6 to grade 12 and work at their skills so that they get into college. Other skills, I sometimes call them FIO, and I wish I could sing, but I can't, so I won't sing the song called Figure It Out, but FIO means figure it out. And I want my students, as you do if you're a computer teacher, to figure things out. I also want them to have Plan B skills so they know what to do when they get stuck. We have to work at teaching these things. It's not mutually exclusive to projects. Even if everybody in your school was Brian Crosby, and you had 1 million Brian Crosbys in your school, which you don't, there probably even aren't 1 million in the world, there's probably just one. Even if you had a lot of Brian Crosbys, you still need a computer class to teach skills. Okay, we've covered 6 of the 8 things. We only have 2 more to get through. Next tip, I'm confused. I practice, but I'm confused. I don't know how Jimmy Fallon does it. I really don't. The next tip is R for realization. Yeah, there it is, R for realization. I see it, R for realization. I was at an all-school event for Storefront about 4 years ago, and my head of school, my former head of school, said to the audience, most of our kids on 129th Street, they never get below 125th. Right? They stay in Harlem. They do everything in Harlem. They don't even know about Lower Manhattan. And I was talking to a good friend who works at Chapin, and she said that at Chapin, it's a joke that their kids never get above 90th Street. They're always on 86th Street. And that made me realize something about things that I've been doing for the last 25 or 30 years. It's really important to add to your mission statement as a teacher and as a school and as an administrator to get kids out of their comfort zone. Figure out ways and do things that get them out of their comfort zone. Because kids like what they're doing. They like exactly that. They like routine, right? Computers get them out of their comfort zone. Skyping with international people and friends gets them out of their comfort zone. Building computers from scratch. Only about 10% of my kids actually like opening up the computers, taking it apart, all this stuff, right? But it's a project that gets them out of their comfort zone. Getting things out of their comfort zone is really, really important. The school that we're starting, I just got an email this morning from Pat Bassett. Some of you know him. He's the head of NAS. He's on our advisory board. And he talked about the value of international travel, which is part of what we're going to do in our school. We're going to take kids who've grown up in the Bronx and probably never gotten out of the Bronx, and we're going to have them get out of their comfort zone, but also experience the world. The value of international travel, says Pat, for students goes way beyond connecting with other cultures. It takes them out of their comfort zone, and it's invaluable for their personal growth and prepares them to be responsible citizens of the world. Number 5, whatever it is, I don't know. Here we go. The next letter, E. E. E is for empathy. I would like to offer this as a tip to all of you in terms of your own schools, in terms of the values of your schools. I suffered a horrible back problem back in 1992. I could not stand up. It got me connected with people with multiple sclerosis at the Boston home, and all of a sudden I realized how important community service was. I realized that when I did community service, when I taught people with multiple sclerosis how to use computers, how to do email, how to surf the web, and I felt good, I wasn't just doing stuff for them, I was doing stuff for myself. Empathy is really, really important. Technology, for those of you who are tech people, just raise your hand, I think many of you, right? Technology lends itself for empathy. The reason that it's spelled T-E-C-H is because the E is for empathy. It's to remind you, right, to think about empathy, right? And so we've created this thing called Tech Saturdays. And right now it's been focused in Harlem, but it's getting bigger. What it does is it takes from the rich and gives to the poor. And Robin Hood was the first person who was starting Tech Saturdays many, many years ago. And I've taken over from Robin Hood. We get old computers from schools that don't want them anymore. And you know how it goes. You know, many wealthy schools, when it's 4 or 5 years old, they want those eMacs out of there. They want those laptops that are, whatever G3, G4 laptops. No, because they want the nice new stuff, which is great. So they give them to us. We've got a closet. We've got a space with maybe 200 computers in it right now, ready to give away to families. I've got a friend who's now branching out, and he's made Tech Saturday happen in Newark. So we have Tech Saturday in Newark now. It's very cool. I have somebody else who's trying to start Tech Saturdays in Connecticut, and a fourth person trying to start it in Atlanta. You could start it. You could start it. You could start it. You could start it. Because you got people in your neighborhood who want to give you old computers. And then you have these people who don't have any technology. And when they get that computer and they carry an eMac, for those of you who know an eMac, 50 pounds, and they carry it home, and it's the first computer in their house, right? And they're felling, and they're thinking it's great, if you know what that word means. They're just so happy to have that old computer. So there's a nice component of technology and community service. And we could all argue we're too busy in our schools to do it, but when you involve the kids, it involves their values, and you're adding values to their education. Okay, we have a word being spelled, and if you're real smart, you know what it is, but we'll find out. We've done 4, and we only have 4 more to go. Next thing I want to talk about is the word H, the letter H. H for me stands for humanware, and humanware is a word I created way back when in 2004 or 2005. Some of you might not have been born before that. And I did it because I was so sick and tired of hearing about hardware and software and schools making decisions based upon hardware and software. Should we have GSs? Should we have PCs? Should we use that version of Pascal? And I would say to them, it's not about hardware and software. It's about humanware. It's about people. Brian, I think you said this morning, or are you still there? You said It's not about our computers, it's about the pedagogy. And I wrote that down because that connected to humanware. So I know some of you were not around in 1984, and I'm older than most of you, but very few of you were around in 1774. But Alan November... Alan November was from Lexington, I was in Lexington, and the two of us are both really old. And in 1774, we tried to start the revolution, and we put all the hardware out on the battle green, and the people didn't know what to do. And then finally, someone picked up a gun and said, "Hey, Alan, there's no ammunition in here." And Alan, he text messaged me, and he said, "Steve, we've got to get the software. We need, oh, Alan, you're right. Hardware alone is no good. Let's get the software. Let's try it next year." So we came back in 1775. Now we had hardware, right? We had all the guns on the battle green in Lexington. We had the software. And then people started pointing out that no one knew how to use the equipment. No one knew how to do anything with it, right? And again, Alan text messaged me, and he said, "Steve, we need to get training. We need to get these people to learn how to use the hardware and software if we're going to start a revolution." You heard Luann say this morning, I think it was this morning, he said, maybe an hour ago, he said he thought the revolution was going to happen in 1992. Right? Well, I started this thing called Summercore along with my colleague and friend Lynn Schauman in 1982, and I thought the revolution, Luann, was going to be over in 1887. People said to me, "Steve," people said, "What kind of business plan?" I said, "I'm just going to be in business for 5 years, because by 1987, everyone's going to know what they're doing with computers. They won't need training anymore." I thought it was going to be over in 5 years. I've got bad news for all of you. There's not going to be a computer revolution. There's absolutely not. It's not now. It's not 20 years ago. It's not going to be in 20 years. It's going to be a computer evolution, right? Just like the women's movement, it didn't happen in 2 years. We still have obnoxious, sexist people all over the place, right? But fewer than we had 30 years ago. Fewer. So it's taking time. Serious. It doesn't happen. It's all about human values, and it's about change. Here's a quote from Howard Gardner, also on our advisory board, about values. "Education is fundamentally about values, but we have a great deal of difficulty talking about it. There's a local joke in the United States called the Jesse test. You could never in the United States come up with a curriculum that would please Jesse Helms, Jesse Jackson, and Jesse Ventura. And therefore," says Howard Gardner, "we simply don't talk about values." We need to talk about values. We need to incorporate values into our hardware, software, humanware vision. Okay, chairs are so good. We have done 3, and we have 5 left to go. The next letter I would like to talk about is the letter T. The letter T. T is for teaching. I wish I knew Bruce Springsteen, because I would have told him not to write the song Born to Run, which was very popular. I sent him the lyrics called Born to Teach, and he rejected it, and he said, "No one's going to start buying that song, Steve." So, okay, but I know I was born to teach, and I know that that's the thing I do the best, and that's the thing I like the best. And it gives me a set of experiences as I work with people, and I work with schools, and I work with teachers. I graduated from college a long time ago in 1973, but in 1971, I was in college, and one of my math teachers was saying to the whole group, "What are you going to do when you graduate?" Because we were taking high-level math courses and all this stuff. And I raised my hand. I said, "Mr. Schlesinger, I think I want to teach high school." And he said, "You want to do what? You want to teach high school?" It was as if I would put his face in my face, as if I was going to deal drugs or something when I got out of college. He was abhorred absolutely with the idea that a good math student wasn't going to go on and get a PhD and was going to teach high school. But teaching to me is not a job. I go to work every day and I love it. And if I can't teach, I sort of have withdrawal symptoms and walk around New York City looking for people to teach math tricks to or something. And this is where it connects with what Gary Steger said this morning, and was it this morning? 1983, I was sitting in a room in Cambridge, Mass., and one of my heroes, Seymour Papert, we've heard him, right? But what he said, I almost vomited. I'm serious. He said, the only way to make subjects like math and English come alive to students is on a computer. And I cried. This was a hero of mine. You know, Mindstorms, Seymour Papert saying, I don't believe it. I didn't believe it then. I don't believe it now. I didn't believe that I couldn't teach. It just isn't that way. We can't be dogmatic about computers. John Nyers, I hope you're in the audience because I hope you can respond. Every teacher, John, should be using, you teach at Dalton, John, every teacher in your school should be using technology, right? Bullshit. John, thank you so much, John. Thank you. I'm sorry, that's a myth. Every teacher should be reading the book by Doug Lemov called Teach Like a Champion. How many people know that book? That is absolutely one of the best books about teaching pedagogy can be. Absolutely. Where are we? We have 6 left. And we're going to talk about A. Maybe. Yes, we are. A. A is for administrators. How many of you are an administrator at your school? Okay, so this is an appeal to you. How many of you are computer teachers or computer coordinators or directors of technology at your school? Okay, we are about to make a proposition here, and I have a little visual. I know it's low tech, right? But you see this? This is the golden ticket right here. This is the golden ticket to move your school into educational innovation, the theme of today, if it's not there already. Every single person who's a tech director should have his eye or her eye on finding an administrator at your school that you can meet with once a week. And once a week you have lunch with that administrator, or once a week you have a meeting in that person's office, and you talk about technology and vision. And at first that administrator doesn't really want to hear it. But you educate that. You talk about cloud computing. You talk about backups. You talk about security. You talk about typing importance. You do everything you can over 2 years. 2 years to create a relationship with that administrator so that that administrator becomes an ally. Educational innovation isn't a quick fix. I've been doing what I've been doing for a long time, almost 33 years, and I failed once and have succeeded 3 times because I didn't take my own advice that one time. At the school I was at, Andrew Gardner, I created something called Computer Per Student in 1993. I had no ally. I didn't have an administrative person I was seeing once a week, and I failed. And then I learned my lesson. I learned the golden ticket. You have to work at that relationship with a key administrator. And you're going to pick and choose who that administrator is going to be. But that connection between you as a tech person and that administrator will help move the school. And if you're an administrator, allow that key tech person to meet with you once a week. And you teach that person about the culture of the school. And teach that person about dealing with parents and dealing with teachers and all sorts of stuff, and give that computer enthusiastic person who wants to start a revolution, give that person a reality check on what we can do and what we can accomplish over the next 5 years. And the marriage of those 2 people becomes sort of like the Lexus and the olive tree, moving forward but taking the values of the past. I'm telling you, everybody, I'm going to be dead in about 33 years, and many of you are going to be running schools and making educational change. We still won't have the revolution done, right? And I'll be dead. You can send me email when it's over. But that's the ticket. That's the way you make change. If you're the administrator, you meet with him once a week. Whoops, did I say him? Oh my goodness. That's because 92.1% of directors of technology are male, which is horrible. Which is why I once wrote a song, which I won't sing to you, called 3DM, 3DM. See how they run the school, see how they run the school. But 3DM stood for 3 despicable men who were making the one female computer teacher feel like crap. And we're locking down every computer so no librarians or nobody could do anything. Because, unfortunately, that happens. Because males have that problem. There's a word in the English language for people who don't like females very much, right? Sometimes they hate females, or at least they don't like female characteristics. Anybody know it? Begins with an M. Misogynist. Yup. Not a nice word. Don't want to use it, but it exists. But is there an equivalent for males? Nope. Nope. I made one up. Here's my word. My word is pissogynist. And I realized about 28 years ago, I'm coming, Karen, that I am a pissogynist. At least I'm a bit of a pissogynist, right? And I would have been just like those 3 DMs, except for the fact that I started dating at age 17 this wonderful woman who I'm married to now for 42 years, right? And because of her, Lynn Shalman, I have moderately gotten out of those horrible characteristics. So thank you, Lynn. We are going quickly, quickly, quickly. E. E is for etiquette. You need to teach and model etiquette as a computer person. You need to teach and model etiquette as an adult. Here's what Joseph Weizenbaum says about kids wearing headphones and people using their BlackBerries incessantly. He says, wherever society has become established, bright young and old men and women of stylish appearance, often with beautiful eyes, can be seen sitting at their cell phones, their arms tensed and waiting to fire their fingers or ready to poise to strike at the buttons on which their attention seems to be as riveted as the gamblers in the rolling dice. These are cell phone bums, compulsive BlackBerry users. They are an international phenomenon. We need to teach our kids. Adjoa, who's running the school, she's a principal, we're going to teach the kids that you can use headphones at school. Of course you can. And you can use cell phones, but you don't do it during class, right? And you don't do it in front of people. Okay, now you see what the word spells. And now we're ready for the video. Sean, video? What do you mean it's not working? I did this whole thing last night to prepare this video and you don't have it? I sent it to you, you tested it? Okay, we're going to do the whole 15 minutes, plan B. We're just going to do it low tech. There's no video. I'm sorry. Sometimes you got to go to plan B. F is for Freakonomics. It's a wonderful book, but it doesn't have too much examples of technology. I believe that we're a little bit overguided with internet safety and security. And I'd love to see Stephen Levitt and Stephen Dubner do something about it, right? Do something to see that we shouldn't be so crazy about Facebook and oh my God and all that stuff. We need to relax about that. A few other myths. Technology is the answer for all teachers. Really? You know that Saturday Night Live thing? Really? Students like all technology projects? Really? The vision of the director of technology of school is paramount. Really? We can do all integration by classroom teachers. We don't need computer classes. Really? Okay, my name is Steve Bergen, and I'm dedicating this talk to, for the next 15 minutes, you're going to hear me talk, and I'm dedicating this talk to my son, Sam, who is exactly 33 years younger than me, but he's also 33 times wiser than me. And even though I'm his father, he has become my mentor. He teaches me how to go on a diet. He teaches me how to do exercises. He helped me with everything good about this talk. So anything that was interesting in the last 15 minutes, thank you, Sam. And I would like to dedicate this talk also to my daughter, Sarah Schallenbergen, also in the back of the room, right, who flew in from Arkansas last night to see this talk. And she's the one who back in 2005 who said to me, because she had seen me at Concord Academy and Nobles and Chapin, and what do they all have in common? They're affluent schools that charge $30,000, and they're inhabited by mostly rich white people, right? And she said, hey, Dad, when are you ever going to do things to help people in this world who really need you instead of the mostly white and mostly affluent kids you've been teaching for 33 years? She also said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So I'm taking the shot, and you're going to be listening to Simona soon, and I'm hoping to be running a charter school about 1 mile away from Simona. And the name of this talk is ruffling feathers. My name is Steve Bergen. I've been doing technology for almost 33 years. Let's begin.